state task force missed its deadline to provide lawmakers a report on juvenile offender policies.
The task force was designed to study better outcomes for juveniles, but it's now without a chairman or clear path forward. The task force on juvenile offender policies had a February 10th deadline to provide its report to the House of Representatives. It met twice in December, hearing hours of testimony. The task force never scheduled a follow-up meeting. Curtis Nelson, the chairman and now former deputy secretary of the Office of Juvenile Justice, was replaced at the OJJ in early February. He says there is a draft report recommending resources for the Department of Corrections when it holds juvenile offenders. It's unclear if or when lawmakers will see it.
Whatever support the Department of Correction needs in working with this population of young offenders was brought to light, and if additional funding is needed, that is something that could really be explored and recommended to the legislature.
The Department of Corrections deferred questions to the OJJ, who said its deputy secretary was not available for comment.